I want you to get ready for stuff that's on the horizon. And I want you to focus on this as much as possible without losing your mind. I want to give you today the straight scoop, and I'm trying to say this in a way that's nice because I'm finding that when you tell people the truth, no matter people that are your friends, people that you like, they get very upset. They don't want to hear this. There is a little boxed version of the truth or predictions that they can deal with. It's kind of sanitized, it's not, you can handle this. Little things. When Kamala was speaking to people the other day, you ask yourself, or I asked myself the question, how is it that people are missing specifically what it is that she's all about? And then she's saying, how are people missing this? And what's interesting to note is that when you tell people the truth about it, they have this idea of what they want her to be. I already told you about this, and we're not going to go belabor the point, but you are being so disturbed by people in the conservative moment who themselves are bought and sold to sort of maybe kind of keep you away from reality. I know you don't want to hear this. But there are people who are, I'm sorry to say this, bought and sold. People who are themselves purchased, arranged to keep you arguing about things that really kind of don't matter. And when you say this to people get very upset. They don't want to hear this. Like there's so much going on right now. And of this, you want to ask somebody, well, do you see what's going on? Do you see what's going on? And what happens is you get to select your own reality every day. You get to select your reality. You get, through this wonderful thing called narrowcasting, you get to decide, okay, this kind of reality I'll take. I will take this one. I'll go along with this. Okay. I can handle this one. Let me give you something right now. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to say this to you right now. There's an ad I put up right now. It's been a great source of our friendship and something I've always wanted to do, and I've wanted to reintroduce to you now a concept which, if you were really smart, you start paying attention. And it's the notion of food preparation. It's called preparewithlionel.com. There's a link. And there's a special right now going on. It's a 3-month food supply. And you can go to the link and you can read it yourself. I'm not going to, either you get it or you don't. You can secure a mega 3-month emergency food kit, save $300 if you buy today. Fast and free shipping, 25 years, shelf life, trusted by millions. Okay. That's it. I'm not going to hard sell you on this. If you don't understand, if you don't see what's coming, I am telling you, I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what the trajectory is going to be. But watch what happens coming up. They're planning for things like you wouldn't believe. Pay attention to all of the attention now being paid to monkeypox, Mpox. Have you heard this? Now, wait a minute. When you start telling people this, they immediately start to react. I want you to do something. I want you to start researching and pay attention to all the clues, all the setup that's being made. What's being covered, what's not being covered. What is different, what's not. I want you to first do yourself this favor. Today, I want you to analyze, Take it in. Do not come up with your conclusion. Do not, for the love of God, do not bring up socialism and oh my God. Not that again. That's that Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, these pseudo conservatives who just give you this low hanging fruit based. You love that stuff because it's so easy to understand. Stop these people. These are tools. If you don't know this, they're not the controlled opposition or any of those words you love. They're the palatable. So let me just explain something. Get ready. If you can't see what's coming right now, what's happening this week, there's so much information. People are going to be looking. They're going to be looking over here versus over here. Michelle Obama's going to be the big. They're doing this to please themselves. You understand this, right? Raul says, what are the odds of a riot during the DNC? 100%. 100%. What do you mean? Raul, everybody benefits from riots. Everybody benefits from civil disorder. Everybody. You want this. You want chaos. The worst thing in the world you can possibly ever have. The worst thing you could ever have is calm. Stasis. You don't want that. Believe me when I say that. Absolutely not. There's so much being thrown at you. So much being thrown at you right now. What do we know? Well, I can give you a lot of different plates. I can read this. Can they steal it fair and square? Sure. Absolutely. Can they rig it fair and square? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can they suppress voting fair and square? Yeah. Without a doubt. Every time they do something, every time they've done something, it's to test you. Let me give you an example of something. You're going to love this. Sometimes you see something and you don't recognize what it is at first, or the public doesn't. They'll see something. I'll give you an example. There's a story in New York that goes as follows. Kathy Hochul, the governor, had this idea where we're going to have congestion pricing. Salazzo Cuomo, remember the old governor, he put up he wanted congestion pricing. So they pulled up all these meter readers and tag meters and tag readers and all this kind of stuff. And they pulled them out. They set them up. Come out of the Lincoln Tunnel below 60, whatever it is. Anyway, they pulled them out, ready to go. Then all of a sudden they said, hey, guess what? We're gonna suspend that for a while. We're gonna suspend that. Why? Well, we're gonna probably do it after the elections, after whatever it is, right? Okay. But they're still there. The devices. Well, they're there, but they're not going to be going into, effect. They're taking data now. You want to tell people, schmuck, you're being scanned. You are living in a world of CCTV, but scanning to the ultimate, to the goal, which we have been saying forever. This is from a Bentham and a Malthus and the notion of the panopticon, to always have everybody on a 24/7 real-time grid. This has been the desire of the shadow government since forever, to know where you are always, to know where you are, who comes in, and to provide nothing but data, to go into metadata, to go into the vat, which can later be pulled and culled to find out the information that you need, to find out whatever information you need about anybody else. Does that make any sense to you? So as these devices are still there in New York, everybody thinks they're turned off because we are still not yet conspiracy theoried enough. We are not skeptical enough. We don't know anything. And the biggest bunch of bamboozled people are the conservatives who think they know everything. The left doesn't really care. To be honest with you, they really don't care. This group, they're perfect because they've been taken over by this shadow government virus, whatever these people are. You can call them woke, and even woke is not the term. But the conservatives are the best because the conservatives believe they know everything. They're the smartest, they're the wisest, they're the best, they're the most patriotic, but they're the worst. They are the worst because they have people, different folks who love to play upon this. I guarantee you, I was watching something, don't get me wrong. I don't know how this came up, but we need a brand new group of folks out there that I could maybe kind of select that you need to hear about. CPAC is the biggest distortion, the biggest waste of time anybody's. That's a money-making organization that goes to pay them, that lines their pockets, and that creates this kind of a faux Reagan world of, in fact, the word conservatism, I don't even know what the hell that means. Right now, stop what you're doing, and I mentioned preparewithlionel.com. It's coming again, my friend. The first time we had a worldwide shutdown, whatever you want to call it, they learned everything. It was a beta test. A beta test, and it's a good idea to see, how do you handle catastrophes? How do you handle things like fires, riots, grids? Wait till there's a grid. Oh, man. Just wait until there is a grid shutdown. Wait until there's an internet shutdown. When all these people can't get to their social media, there is a storm coming on the horizon, the likes of which you cannot believe. You just can't grasp it. And they're giving you all these little hints. They're telling you this is what's coming up. And if you say what I'm saying, you're looked at like kind of like an idiot, like you're nuts. And that's fine. Believe me, I've been through this before. I understand. That means you're right. Monkeypox. Watch that. Mpox. Do you think that's just what? What do you think about that? You think this country learned anything? What did we learn from the last? Nothing. What did we learn from the last shutdown or the way we handled the pandemic? What did we learn? Nothing. You even think that somehow we learned a lot, didn't we? Yeah. Well, we had all these hearings and we pretty much got to the bottom. They're not going to pull anything on us because we're smarter and we reacted and they learned their lesson, right? You think that, right? You think that. I know you do. Because that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that, oh, we got this squared away. Oh, they're not going to, oh, boy, see what they did to that Fauci guy? Phew. What'd they do to him? Nothing. He's laughing his ass to the bank. We don't learn anything in this country. We don't learn anything. And yet we think we are the smartest people anybody's ever seen. So this week, starting today, what's it going to be, my friend? Crypto Domini says, with you, Uncle Lenny. Thank you, Crypto. Thank you. And what I'm saying, by the way, is I'm very lonely in this because believe me when I tell you this, people kind of sort of get it. I'll tell you who I really get along with the best. Absolutely guaranteed. Anybody that you call foreign, European, Asian, it doesn't matter. I get along perfect. We are like kindred spirits. They get me, I get them. They say, oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Americans are the dumbest people you've ever met. Fat, happy, lazy, and they just are so lucky, spoiled. They have oh my. They went through do you remember the pandemic? That was nothing. How many people do you think thrived during that. They loved it. They pulled out of society, stayed home, watched Netflix, sat on their couch with their little therapy pet because they got anxiety. They've got anxiety. Oh, we got so much anxiety here. And then they watched TV and they ordered takeout and they didn't go to their work. They said, well, I'm not going to go to work. I said, okay, well, maybe you should come. I'm not coming to work and I'm not coming to school. And the teacher said, well, I'm not going to come to school. It was wonderful. Then the government gave you bailouts and it's wonderful. It was. Some businesses went away. Some came back. Something happened. Did you really think about this? It was cataclysmic. Some people moved to Florida, then they realized Florida is boring and they came back. Sorry, I love my native state. Boring. But it's okay. You may like it. Boring's okay. Boring's okay. Golf to me is boring, but people love golf. But anyway, they went to Florida and then they came back. And then they sold this and they went over here. And they went over here. And they went over here. And we met and we moved and we sold everything. I went to, and then we did with this and the family and the kids. Did you really suffer? Did you really suffer? No. Really? Nah. A lot of people loved it. It brought out a whole new world. It changed the complexion of America. We find out who was who and who. The government said, look how pliant and compliant, who resists what and who doesn't. But the bottom line is nothing changed. Nothing changed. Biden got in. Oh, and by the way, how much do you want to bet this week? Can I play prediction? Okay. Just saying. How much do you believe that we have Biden's speech already recorded and ready to go in case we need it? Anybody? How much would I bet? How much would I bet he is all set and ready to go? How much would I bet? Anybody? How much you want to bet that there's a plan in place to have a speech taped in advance, just in case Pops isn't up for it. Remember, it's a night when he's scheduled to speak. And if they do go with the pre-taped speech, watch the syncing of it, the voice, because people are suspecting they were using voiceover actors or voiceover that was done before. So remember what they're saying. Remember when Kamala had the speech with Biden before? Did that sound like him to you? Remember when he said now when I say this, I can't prove it. But what I do is, and here's something that you should always say, use this phrase. I wouldn't be surprised if, and then that covers you. Gracie Loves George says, Mr. L, have an iPhone. How can I subscribe? Doesn't seem to be an option that I can find. Subscribe. We were learning things about iOS and all this stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Let me see something. Subscribe to what? What are we talking about? You mean to subscribe to the YouTube channel? Is that what? Let me see if we can do this. There's a let me see here. Just a second. Why don't you try? Let me do this. Let me see something here. Just give me a second. I've noticed people having iPhones are different than whatever the heck it is. Oops, that's not it. Let me see something here. Just a second. Here we go. No, that's not it. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Try this one. I'm going to put this up and click to this. Maybe this will help. This is the link, and it might help or whatever it is. So let me just put this up for you right now. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Give that a shot. That's for you, young lady, I believe. Now, let me also go back to this. Pardon me, a lot of going around. I'm a one-man show here, so bear with me. Please, bear with me. Bear with me, friends. Raul says, I'll bet $10 a speech is ready for Biden. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already done. They already have the voiceover AI, whatever the particular thing is. And they're going to try to sync it somehow. They're going to have him, unless he's so ill he can't make it. I don't even think it matters. I don't think it matters because he's going to be real slow. They're going to have to dose him up with Adderall or something. So they got to be very careful with that one because to titrate that thing carefully, you really got to know what you're doing. So I don't know what to tell you, but they're going to, you know this. I mean, you know this. We heard this the other day. AI, AGI, well, I haven't even gotten to AGI yet. Nobody got the AI part yet because they don't even know where that's going. But, so understand something. Surveillance like you can't believe, but many of the kids today especially have been born in captivity. They don't know anything about this, number one. Number two, monkeypox. Do yourself a favor. And this is something which I don't understand why people don't do this, but I'll tell you they do this. No matter how limited you think and how terrible you think everything is with the internet, there are people, believe me when I'm telling you, you can learn so much on the internet like you can't believe. You can learn more things than you can possibly ever. You just cannot imagine how much you can. It's just all there. But I am used to all my life. I'm an autodidact. When I want to get into a subject, I will dive into it. And I will, in a day, learn, because I've had to do this, whether it's legal matters or law school, or you got to do some quick, you better get on your feet. And I got to learn a lot about this. If all of a sudden there's some new thing, if all of a sudden we can, what's assumption of risk doctrine and all this stuff, I got to learn it and fast. And I don't have a lot of time to sit and to have it spoon-fed to me. Edie says, the hoops we had to jump through was part of a conditioning. I'm a cult survivor, saw through it. Well, it's a part of everything. And thank you, Edie. There's a lot to things. Here, let me give you a couple of ideas. Let me throw a lot of things at you because I want you to leave this. Whenever we speak, I want you to say, oh my God, I never thought about that. Believe me when I tell you this. So much of who we are is dependent upon our family and how we grew up. Brian says, we know for sure Jill is not voting for Kamala. You don't know anything. You don't know the deals they have made. You have no idea. None. Jill is the most, whatever. You don't know anything. It would seem like you're probably right, but I don't know. Let's talk about family. You are the product of your life, of where you were born. Your religion is dependent upon the country you were born in. Your idea of God is depending upon, if you were born in Cairo, you're going to think differently than if you're born in Cleveland. It's just that simple. It has nothing to do with which God is right. It depends upon where you are. It depends upon the era you were born in. It depends upon your status, your level of. A black family is going to think differently than somebody who's Asian. You're going to think differently. Your perspective. You knew this. But the most important thing when you're first in this country, when you're first born, you are given these things called parents. And those parents do more for you than you can. You have no idea. When you are growing up emotionally, think of your personality as concrete that's setting. You know what I mean? It's getting hard. Interesting. It's and a lot can be done to affect how your emotional psychological foundation is set. Are there holes in it? You have, of course, siblings, and siblings are important because of their connection with parents. Mother and father, ideally. Mother is a unique thing, and then father is a different story. Mother is that's the spiritual kind of, you and she are one. You were from her. I know there are different variations of this, but, and a mother and you become fused organically, physiologically. It is beyond spiritual. It is the spookiest thing. Forget twins, mother, and when a mother rejects a child, wow. And when there are problems with a child, when a mother lets you down because the mother prefers, let's say, another sibling or siblings to you, or maybe the spouse. It just, whoa, this is your mother. And then comes father. Fathers have the easiest job in the world. They have to show you unconditional love, respect, which is the greatest form of love, and discipline, which is even a greater form of love. What does discipline mean? Discipline means you are worthy of me to take time out of my day and get royally pissed off at you for what you did because you're worth it. You are so important to me that you ruined my day. You are so important to me. You are so special. I'm going to say, I cannot believe you did this. You've got so much talent and you're acting, and I'm paying attention to you because you're worth it. It's also good to say when you do things well too. Okay. So understand this. And it forever changes your life. If it cements who you are. Let's talk about our president. Let's go back a little bit. Barack Obama. There's an interesting one. Let's look at his. Let's put him on the couch, shall we? I've got a couple of videos. Please make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation. I've got two. One, and let me give you the titles. You're going to love this one. One is called Why Kamala Ain't a Commie or a Marxist or a Socialist, Just Clueless. And the second one is Kamala on the Couch, a psychological profiler analyzes this Freudian basket case. Me. Now, in the world of Intel, I'm sure you knew this because you know all about Intel. Intel, there are dossiers that everybody has. In fact, there was a dossier that they had on Hillary Clinton that Netanyahu's wife wanted to see regarding Hillary in the book Gideon's Sword or something. It's just fascinating. Barack Obama. Who's his father? Well, the father and the mother and mixed race, and again, raised father, not left, but tenuous, kind of mysterious. Where's he from? I'm not talking about the birth certificate, but I'm saying he just kind of came out of nowhere. And who's his mother? Nobody really knows, and it's very strange. And Michelle, and Michelle's got her mother and her brother. I don't know where you met. You remember her brother who was there? I don't know where he is, but it kind of affects you. And then here we go, and there's always a sense of you're not really legitimate. He's one of the most successful presidents, whether you ever liked about it. But looking at him on the couch, he always will say, am I legitimate? How do I see myself? What do I see myself as? Am I taken seriously? Am I always trying to prove who I am? I am somebody, like Jesse Jackson. I am somebody. I am this. I am Bill Clinton. Oh my God. Bill Clinton, raised of this. Remember his mother used to wear like tube tops and drinking the drunken father, and he was always trying to protect her. And for years, it manifested with his relationship with women and wanting to be loved. And both of them, of course, going to, quote, Ivy League schools and, doing well. His was different, though. He kind of worked when he met Kennedy and plucked out of. I wouldn't be surprised if Obama was somehow pulled or recruited by some shadow government, always looking for the bench, the deep bench. You're going to be good. There are people as we speak right now being checked out. Better will work. Buttigieg. They're just looking for new people. Vance, maybe. They're just always looking. Fathers. Now, let's look at Donald Trump and George W. Bush. Affluent families, strong fathers, successful fathers. What do they have in common? Both of them were kind of screw-ups. Not really. But Trump's father sent him to some military academy, some boarding school. Said, I gotta straighten this guy up. And that actually helped him. And turn out. George W. too. What was he? Well, he was always a screw-up. He was a drunk, blow, did this. The cheerleader, it was Jeb. Jeb was going to be the one. Okay. You see how that plays out? And of course, later on, there was a drinking problem. They always suggested that George was a dry drunk, meaning he stopped drinking, but he didn't get sober. Trump won't touch alcohol because of his brother Fred. Fascinating. Now we got Kamala. What's that about? There was a book I want to show you, or something I want to show you. It's called, and it's pretty good. It is called Reflections. I think it's called Reflections of a Jamaican Father. Is that it? Reflections of, you can get it online. You can read it. It's very interesting. And this is a guy who was absolutely furious with her. Furious. This is a proud Jamaican. Remember, I think he and his family worked with Michael Manley. His mother, I think, was in the Jamaican, legislature or parliament, whatever it was. This is a serious guy. He's called a Marxian economist. I know you go crazy with Marx. Have you ever seen Richard Wolff? Wonderful, great guy, wonderful. This is Richard Wolff. I'm sure you've seen him. He's on. Forgive me. Yes, Richard Wolff. He is a Marxian economist. Great friend of mine. Wonderful. Marxist. Marxian he uses as an adjective. By the way, adjective I learned today from this Latin, from jacere, meaning to throw, where you throw a word onto something else. That's where adjective comes from. Anyway, see etymology. So this is a guy who was very well respected, very credentialed, great guy. He's a Marxian. Marxist is a noun, he believes. Marxian, whatever. Most people have no idea about what he is. Well, that's Kamala's father. Richard Wolff has no interest whatsoever in overthrowing the country or rioting or anything like that. He might talk about class struggle, but it goes back to our rudimentary, absolute nescience, our ignorance as to what these things are. We don't know what capitalism is. We don't know. There are people who say things, the typical Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro. There has never been a successful socialist. Really? What are you talking about? Capitalism? You think Honduras, Guatemala, Haiti, Dominican Republic? What are you talking about? That's capitalism. They don't know what they spew these tropes and memes and they don't know anything. Anyway, so her father, this is what's his name? Donald? Donald Harris. He is a Jamaican-born economist, and absolutely, positively renowned. And he has this problem with her, and she has a problem with him. And he's all PO'd at her because the way she depicts this notion about, Jamaicans, and she likes her weed, and he says, wait a minute. You are perpetuating this horrible image of the Jamaican, some Rastafarian, some Bob Marley, dope smoking dude who he says, no, you are providing horrible examples of these, whatever. She said that she's a liar. She said that when she was in college, she listened to certain rap. They weren't even around then, because even when they asked her, she said, I like rap. I like Tupac. He's dead. They asked Living. She's a fraud. So anyway, understand who she is. This is critical stuff. They got the problem. She lauds her mother, her late mother, who was everything to her. She spent time in Canada. Her story, she doesn't even have straight. She is an authoritarian. She's basically this right-wing cop. When she was a prosecutor, even a prosecutor said, you're going after truants? She had this thing, and I'm going to say it, and I don't know it, but it's an hypothesis. Pilgrim says, who? Where's my TikTok, bro? Don't know what that means, but I love you. She has this weird, I don't know what it is. She's got a problem with him. But when she was a prosecutor or AGDA, she was brutal. She went after truants, parents, mothers and fathers of kids who were truant. Some people are saying, do you not like these predominantly black women who had to work and their kids went to school? Why did you go after and blast? Why do you go after these people? These how do I say this? Why do you go after these folks who were trying to exonerate themselves using Brady material and the like to get off of death row and the like? Why did you go after black men with these draconian marijuana laws? Why? There was a case that was big in the Biden administration and the others, the Uhuru 3 about using. There's all this other stuff. Believe me, I'm going to stop right there because most people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I'm used to that. And when I say that, I'm not trying to be how do I say this? I'm not trying to sound full of puffery, as it were. But most people don't know what the hell I'm even talking about. Most of the time I argue with people and they don't know what they're talking about. I told you, as of late, they're doing this thing about Kamala's a communist, and they don't know. They don't even know what it is. They repeat Charlie Kirk as somehow, or Jordan Peterson is somehow. This is their connection, and they repeat these tropes. Have you noticed this? Have you noticed how when sometimes you repeat a story from the past, it didn't really happen. You just repeat the story as you remember it. You're not really sure. You just remember, oh, I remember that. Tell us a story again about when you went to the 4th grade and you didn't have the lunch money. Well, and then what you do is you end up telling the story based upon the last time you told the story. So you're remembering telling it the last time, and the story itself kind of loses connection. Well, that's where we are right now. And we've got something that is so important right now. We have this carnival, this big state fair type of event going on. And you've got a lot of moving parts. And this one group is the people who represent, for lack of a better word, the cool kids. They're the kids. They're the people who thought they were the popular kids in high school. Maybe I was lucky. I went to a Jesuit high school where we didn't have that. It was one of the best things ever. It was an all boys male school, and we didn't impress anybody. And there were no such thing as the cool kids. We didn't care because there were no women there. Once women were there, it changes everything. Then this guy's got the girls. But if you're all on the, if we're all there's a bunch of guys, it creates and spurs individuality. By the way, time out. There's a movement. We got into a really interesting argument the other day. There's a movement in New York and some New York schools to introduce uniforms on the part of kids. I'm 100% behind it. 100% for that. School kids, kids in schools today, in public schools, wearing uniforms. Absolutely. We'll talk about this some other time. Absolutely. 100%. And I realize most of the time people, what about individuality? Shut up with the individuality. That's the problem. You don't understand it. It's not individuality. I want to teach humility. I want to focus people on who they are and not the way they look like. Wait a minute. Here we go. More. Your analysis is piquant and syllogistic, Mr. L. Indeed. Thank you. Or piquant, as some people say. I like piquant. Thank you for that. Now, going back to this. Here's Kamala. Nobody knows who she is. And when Trump asks the question, are you black? That doesn't mean, would you, how do we say this? Would you categorize your race? The question is, are you of a spirit, of a culture, of an identification with American, African-American, black people? Yes or no? There are people that I've met, I'm telling you, they believe they are Irish. They're New York people with Irish last names. They have nothing to do with Ireland. Irie, A-I-R-E, from Aryan, and Iran, Aryan. Notice the connection? Interesting, Anyway. In Staten Island and the Bronx, part of Brooklyn, there people go, I'm Italian. No, you're an Italian American. You're an Italian American with an Italian last name, and you like Italian food and Italian American culture. It's not Italian, it's Italian American. And the closest you ever came was maybe a grandparent, and that's it. And what you were doing is you were growing up in an Italian American group. Hey, forget about it. That's an Italian, and that's also very, very crude, because there are a lot of Italian Americans have nothing to do with Sopranos-esque, mob-esque type of things. But the Italian, from Italy would say to the Italian American, you have no idea what being Italian is. I think it's the Antinori family. They own the Chianti. There's like 30 generations. I mean, they go back to these. What? There's a group. There's a group of people where you have to be in a family run company that's at least 200 years old. I think Beretta is one. The rifle company. There's others as well. Americans are brand new. They don't really associate with this. So what I'm saying in all this gibberish that I'm trying to convey to you, Kamala Harris is an American, but she was born she really raised in Canada, and she has absolutely no connection whatsoever to what many people believe to be an African-American experience. She just may look it by virtue of her physiognomy. She is actually more Asian, and it's not so much the genetics. Do you understand? Do you connect with this? Or are you always trying to get away from it? JTE says, who are the sons of St. Ignatius of Loyola? That would be the Jesuits, I believe. I don't know what that is, but thank you very much. So, looking at this, and please forgive, just you got to ask yourself, well, who is she? She doesn't have anything. Is she there have been black people, Negro people, born in England or born who have no connection. None. There is no African American anything. There's no slave. No, they might have been straight from Africa. Who knows? But they come to this country and they're saying, I don't even know what you're talking about. Black? Yeah, I guess, but they're British. It's the same thing. We impart on people this collective, this personality that you must exhibit and must identify with by virtue of how you look. It's the damnedest thing. Gore Vidal was probably the most he was a gay man who was very, I'm not going to talk about that. He seemed like he's just looking up. I was in the military, and William F. Buckley seemed sometimes more effeminate than he did. Sorry. And Gore Vidal had his suspicions. Gore Vidal says, I'm not going to act this way. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. So Kamala Harris, instead of saying, listen, hold it, excuse me, I am who I am. You will figure out who I am at your leisure. I am who I am. I'm not going to allege any kind of affiliation with any kind of ethnicity because I really don't have any. That's not what she said. She said I was an Indian. I connected with my mother. She was close to her mother. She rejected her father. She might have felt abandoned. I don't know. She was 4 or something. Remember, she has a sister too. He was furious with her after that Breakfast Club thing about smoking the weed. So who knows? I don't know what that's all about. And he was black, but through Jamaican. Okay. So she went that Indian thing. When they realized later on, hey, listen, you could do a hell of a lot better if you push the black. Oh, okay. All of a sudden, hey, baby. Next thing you know, she's that. If you don't think that's relevant, I don't know what is. Clapton says, bro, Trump Deputy Communications Director Caroline Sunshine is very smart and well-spoken. Saw her on TV this morning. That's good. I saw her too. That's nice. Good for him. Now, and thank you for that. You're missing what I'm saying here. This is a psychological portrait of what we're looking for. See, when I'm telling you, I can tell people are saying, what do you get to the point? This is the most fascinating thing there is. This is when politics and Freud and psychology and emotion and history and image and Bernays, all of it melds together. This is like something you can't believe. This is so beautiful. I can't even put this into words. Hang on for a second. For the love of God. For the love of God. And I mean that sincerely. I want to mention something else you haven't spoken about in a while, and I've been remiss. I want you to stop what you're doing right now. I want you to listen very, very carefully. And I want you to go to this guy right here. His name is Mike Lindell. And this is our friends from MyPillow. They have been at the forefront. He is still there. They have the greatest deals, my friends, like you can't believe. Go right now, get a free gift. I know what you're saying. Get a free gift. That's all I'm saying. All right, good. All right, dear friends. Let me see what else we have here. Well, we got some other stuff, which is good. Let me see here. God, there's so much stuff. Okay, I mentioned monkeypox. I mentioned now. Is there going to be a huge? How do I say this? Is there going to be a huge? Oh, by the way, employee pricing. I just could say this. Mike Lindell, mattress toppers, extravaganzas. Oh my God, it's incredible. 6-piece towel sets. Just go to this, mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com/Lionel. Okay. This week, what are we looking for? Board it up. We're going to see what the Republicans or what the Democrats are going to do regarding this thing called Israel. Now, try explaining this to somebody and good luck with you. Have you tried this with your friends? Have you tried talking about this? Have you tried talking? Good luck. Have you tried to? No. Ask anybody you know. Ask your friends. Oh, by the way, look who it is. Gwig says, Leavenworth, Kansas School District posted students can wear pajamas to school to help the tardy problem. Wish Trump would attend A21 New York drug event. That might be the most dangerous thing for him to do, but thank you for that. They are wearing pajamas. Tardy. You have no idea how I... Sparky says, fun fact, Gore Vidal, whose father was a pioneer, yes, Army aviator, soloed as a pilot at 8 years old. He was then the youngest pilot. Well, you know what, Sparky? Also, his father, Vidal, one of his mistresses or his conquest was Amelia Earhart. They showed him. He goes, "Let's go, Pop." All right, son. Let me show you, because his father wanted to make flying as easy as driving a car, like the Ford, the Henry Ford, or whatever. Anyway, so there's Gore Vidal. This is great, Pop. As soon as they got up, I guess he flew. I guess he landed. They say he did. I don't know. But remember how his father was the senator, the blind senator, and he has this great story. I loved his style. Here's a fun fact for you too. Gore Vidal, and you know this probably, Gore Vidal, George Plimpton, William F. Buckley Jr., who else? A lot of the game show folks had the mid-Atlantic accent. This was a contrived, spoken, this way of talking of the... And Vidal didn't really have it as much as William F. Buckley was the absolute proponent of this. So did James Baldwin, and Buckley really took offense to that, because here's this black guy from Harlem speaking like this. There was a fellow too. His name, we knew him in the neighborhood. His name was Roscoe Lee Brown. And he would say, hello. There was this little Irish bar he'd walk in. Hello, Connor. Yes, it's a wonderful day. He was born in Woodbury, New Jersey. And there was this fellow on St. Elsewhere. You remember the actor? I'll never forget the guy's name, but he was in the theater for a long time. And his name was, hang on. It was his old time. Oh, yes. Norman Lloyd. Hello, Norman Lloyd. Yes, he talked like this. Yes, Norman Lloyd. Look him up. He had the British accent. He was born in Jersey City. They did this then. They spoke. They took on. Madonna did it. There's a friend of mine who was British, and I found an article one time that showed that stroke victims sometimes will take on a British accent. Well, the same thing when you start changing your accent. As Kamala does. Chameleon. Hey, baby, we ain't gonna know, never mind, turn on the right. What? I don't know. That's my thing. And then she all of a sudden gets out of it. All of a sudden, she's doing that. You know, he does sometimes when AOC does the Latino. You got to get the word Latino. There's a way of saying it. And AOC, she's from Westchester. Sandy Cortez went to Boston. All of a sudden, she's, phonies. But this is who she is. And this week, she has no idea of what she's talking about. And they're laughing at her. And another one we're laughing at is this guy named Fredo Cuomo, he's saying, hey, I don't think she shows any legitimacy, because he's dying to get on a real network. He wants so bad to go back to CNN. He's trying everything in his power. Nobody wants him. You know what's bad too? When people like, what is her name from with JT from Good Morning America? What's her name? Amy Robach, who's trying so desperately, she can't get on News Nation and others. That's over with. Oh, by the way, check out my X feed or Twitter. Late Night is dead. So let me stop for a second. Let's just clean the plate. Welcome to this. You've awakened from a coma. And I'm telling you, what have I missed? Okay, we've got an election coming up in, listen to me, 78 days. Now, if they want to, they can rig it on the level. They can rig it and steal it fair and square if they want. We don't know anything about this. We don't know anything. As you can look at the Real Clear Politics today and others, who knows? I don't know what Trump is doing. Trump could win. If this was a legitimate election, he would win, but we don't know because we don't know the rules of elections today. We don't know how you can steal it fair and square. We don't know what new people. Okay, that's that. Number 2, monkeypox. Get ready. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be an international lockdown? I don't know. Is it going to be Bill Gates again? I don't know. Is he talking about it? Of course he's talking about it. Is it going to be another thing? I don't know. Keep an eye on it. If you think you're never going to go through something like you did before again, you haven't learned anything. There's always a beta test. There's always opening night, and there's also dress rehearsal. Beta tests, get people ready, get them conditioned, acclimated. Next, surveillance like you can't believe. I can't get people to understand AI, much less surveillance. We have here in New York all of these scanners. You can see them everywhere. Everywhere. And people say, well, they're not hooked up. They're hooked up. Schmuck, they're hooked up. What are you talking about? What? Yes. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? Sparky, the voice of reason. Roscoe Lee Brown was great with John Wayne. Yes, in the Cowboys. I remember that. He also narrated Logan's Run. It was great. A half-mile runner in track and field, as was his co-star in the Cowboys, Bruce Stern. Remember during the Cowboys, Sparky, when one of the young men said, is it? He says, yes, it's black, referring to his anatomy, as it were. But he's from Woodbury, New Jersey. And he would come in, ha, 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 full of shite like you cannot be. I'm not going to tell you all my history with, relatively. I don't know these people, but this guy was such a phony. Nothing. Ha, ha, ha. Would you stop it? Quit acting like that. Best guy in the world, Carol O'Connor. Best guy in the world, Carol O'Connor. Best guy ever. Archie Bunker at a party one time for a local, it was an Italian restaurant celebrating 50 years. I walked up to him, and my father watched In the Heat of the Night every single day. Oh my God. I said, listen, I'm not going to be a fan. It's not for me, because this was in kind of like a private party thing. And I said, I'm not a group. I said, but if my father found out that I was talking to you and I didn't say hello, and he said, funny you should say that. One time, Carol O'Connor said he was trying to get a cab, and all of a sudden, there were no cabs, no lights on. All of a sudden, this cab spins around and says, get in. He says, oh, okay, what are you doing? He goes, just where are you going? And he takes him, and when it came time to pay, and he says, you never started the meter. He said, if my father found out that I charged you. Second great guy, Peter O'Toole. One time at a same place. No, different place. Irish bar. He was sitting there. I just came back from seeing the movie Hannibal. This is what Ray Liotta. Remember they were doing the consuming brain or everything. So we were sitting there, and he says, "What did you think about it?" I said, "Well, it was all right." I said, "You never get. I mean, how are you going to do a sequel of that?" I said, "But there's one thing that was interesting. I said, when they were consuming the part of the brain, I said, if it was in this part here, if it was around Wernicke's area or Broca's, would you have noticed, because there's no pain receptors, would you have noticed an immediate disruption of speech. He says, that's very good. I said, and would you, depending upon left or right, would the aphasia be differently? Like we talked about hemispherectomies. Anyway, I had the best. We were talking about people were walking up talking about eating brains and how you learn. I said, wouldn't it be great to take a brain and say, I wonder what this is for, and then see what happens? Well, nothing really, apparently. He says, yeah. So, well, you can't do that, but you can through. So anyway, that was another one. I could tell you other stories later, but Peter O'Toole is okay. I thought, how many people could sit around and say they spent, the afternoon talking about eating brains with, and the effects of it. I like regular, ordinary folks. I really do. I like people who are just great. Absolutely. There's something, and that's why I hate phonies. And that's why I don't hate Kamala. I don't know her, but she scares me because she's an empty suit. She's a windsock. She doesn't stand for anything. And it scares me. Peter O'Toole, the best. Oh, very, very good. His son was going to NYU at the time. Son, I forget his son's name. His son, he was there, and he was, I think his son was there, and it was a great afternoon. And there's one thing great about New York. Gotta tell you something. Nobody overreacts. Nobody says, hey, it's so-and-so. No. In fact, if you do that, you're immediately looked down upon. Like, don't make a big deal out of it. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, this week, what are we going to be looking for? We're going to be looking for, of course, disruption. You're also going to find that the people who are, and this is, I'm sorry to say this, but the people who are doing the disruption, the people who are doing the picketing and everything, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I don't like them. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they dress. I don't like the way they act. I don't think I just don't take them seriously. I'm sorry. I know what they're saying might be good, but there are people who I know, they love to be there just for the show itself. I remember one time years ago, I could not stand the people that occupy Wall Street. They didn't know what they were talking about. They had no idea what they were talking about. They literally, actually, truly, bro, they were banging drums, and they just wanted to be protesting like their parents did. They have no idea what they were talking about. So, in any event, so that is that. Monkeypox. Do research today on it. Asaf, look at this. Asaf Zeltzer. That's a great name. Asaf Zeltzer. Thank you, Asaf. So let's see what happens with this today. Anything new you heard today about is it going to be Biden? Are they going to sink the they're probably going to, if Biden is smart, he will throw it. So they have to do a recording so that it'll be shown. Anything else, honey? Did you see today any big 100,000 people have moved in. They're downplaying it left and right. Because, as you know, look at this. Asaf, by the way, bless his heart, is a member for 5 months. Thank you, sir. They also are trying their best to try to, and I know Sparky will verify this, they don't want you to really get into the idea about what's happening regarding Israel. They just don't. Bruce Dern was a great villain in The Cowboys. Bruce Dern was just wonderful in, I'm trying to think some other great ones. He just was so, who was Bruce Dern married to? Famous actress. Hang on. Bruce Dern. I know it was Laura Dern. Bruce Dern was married to who was he married to? Hang on, man. Let me check these. This is what I do. My job is always, he's 88 years old, Bruce Dern. Diane Ladd. And anyway, enough of that. Let me go back over here. There we go. Gracie Loves George says, Mr. L, before you go, please send the link again. Having trouble recovering my account. Thank you. Okay, let me do it again for you. I'll do that. Let me go back to what I'm doing here. Bless your heart. Talk amongst yourself, please. If you don't mind, I ask you, please talk amongst yourself. Okay, and this and this. How about that? Line legal. YouTube channel. Here we go. Let me give you this right here. This is, let me try this. I'll just give you this link and you can act accordingly and do your thing. Okay. Yesterday I listened, and I suggest you listen to John Mearsheimer give his review of the Israel-Gaza thing, and it's incredible. Look at Sparky, always a troublemaker, says Kamala married her AIPAC handler. Well, I don't know if Doug is in there. Now, let me explain something to you. As you know, Sparky, lobbies are legal. There are environmental lobbies. There's the gun lobby. There's the civil liberties lobby. There's the CPAC is a lobby. There's was it NARAL, abortion. There's CARE. I think Congress of Arab Israeli. You have the right to do this. And Walt and Mearsheimer wrote the seminal text or treatise on the Israel lobby. And they caught all kinds of grief for it and saying, of course there's an Israel lobby. Which of course there is. And it's effective. That's what be proud of this. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Pretend like, no. See, no. AIPAC is just it's a social club. Doesn't do anything. Sparky says, anytime someone says that Israel's our only friend in the Middle East, I can't help but think before Israel, we had no enemies in the Middle East. John Sheehan, U.S. missionary. Well, my friend, that goes to show you something. It's a fascinating subject. Now, let me ask you, Sparky. This is the question that I have for you and everybody else. And this is not necessarily realism. This is called empathic politics. If you lived in, and this is interesting, if you lived in Israel yourself, if you lived there, you were a Jew in Israel, not in New York, not in Brooklyn, not in Cleveland, but in Israel, would you think the same that you do? If I could take my Jewish friends who either live in Israel and I said, now I'm going to move you to the West Bank, I'm going to move you to Gaza, would you think differently? Exactly. Can you understand how they think? Exactly. Can you understand in 1948, as they call it, the Nakba, being moved to accommodate Israel? Do you not understand how you would feel? No. You don't understand the perspective of the Israelis. Do you not understand Zionism? I would. If I was, yeah. Can you understand Zionism from a Gazan perspective? Yes. Why is this difficult? Of course. I always get into the head of people how they think. That's all. Sometimes I have a hard time doing this because I'll give an example. There are some leftist friends of mine who say the most important issue for me is a woman's right to choose. You mean abortion? I said, why is this a problem for you? Do you ever think that abortion is going to be illegal in this country? Well, no. I said, well, what are you talking about then? This is an artificial issue that you've been told to say. That I don't understand. But everything else I can understand completely. Asaf, thank you so much. Thank you. That is the most fascinating of denominations. I don't know what that is, but thank you. Sometimes I get like, what is this? I'm not as versed in some things as others. Always put yourself in the position of the other people. Well, what do you think Vietnamese think about us? What do you think Vietnamese think about this country after the Vietnam War? What do you think? Tell me. What's their perspective on us? Do you think they like us? Do they appreciate what we did? How about the Japanese? 2 bombs we dropped on them. 2. Especially when everybody from Stimson to Eisenhower to MacArthur says, you don't need to drop the bomb on them. Remember that one? Now there's some argument. What do you think they think? I'm not saying you have to say we're right or wrong, but if you don't understand their position, remember, always understand the motivation. That does not mean you agree with them. If you don't understand why serial killers kill, you're never going to find them. You got to understand, how do they think? What do they want? What do they get out of it? What are they looking for? Same way when you're hunting. Put yourself in the position of the people you're dealing with. Don't agree with them. Don't just understand it. You can say, okay, I know what your position is. I got it. I understand it completely. I understand it. And I want to say something to a lot of folks. If you think you're going to go and you're going to, when I protest, I want to win you over. I don't want to just, there's two kinds of protests. One is you raise all kinds of hell for people. For example, you shut something down, you stand in front of a military base because you don't want them to, okay, that's one thing. But if I'm trying to convince you of my position, I want you to empathize with me. And you're not going to empathize with me or sympathize with me if I look dirty and smelly and stupid and I yell and scream and cuss. And if I'm look like I'm having fun and I beat a drum and I am this walking joke, I'm just this prototypical, archetypical kind of a stereotype, whatever it is. That's all. When during some of the Columbia University, and this might be incorrect, but some people say, okay, we need some water here. We don't have enough water. We can't get the commissary. Our keys don't work. Wait a minute. This is a joke, isn't it? You are pretending to be an activist. Do you really care about this? Or are you just doing this? Just like this Zuccotti Park, Occupy Wall Street. I saw these children. I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And the best is when people that I know who really are either communists or Marxists talk to these people and they say, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. That's why when I hear people suggest that she is a Marxist, it's like, no, don't get me started with that again. Don't get me started. You do it all the time. So Asaf, thank you so much. Sparky, thank you. Gracie loves George. Let me see. Thank you, Asaf. Again. Edie Crowley, bless your heart. Sparky, again, I said that. Gwig, Weston, Clapton, JTE, Pilgrim Media, Cryptic, but always welcome. Brian, peace, Bryon. Edie Crowley, Raul Rodriguez, Gracie loves George, Crypto Domini, Big Dick from Chi-Town, and thank you so much. Be careful there in Chicago, especially with what's going on right now. Sparky says, MacArthur and Nimitz were against using the A-bomb on Japan too, I think. Oh, yes, as in MacArthur and Nimitz, I believe. MacArthur, Stimson, Curtis LeMay. I mean, Mr. Cigar, who, by the way, Curtis LeMay, who was George Wallace's running mate in the Green Party when they ran for president. That was serious. Talk about weird bedfellows. Isn't history grand? They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes. All right, dear friends. Also, remember this. Follow Mrs. L. She's going to be doing another live coming up. She's going to tell you about this wonderful event she did yesterday. I'm so proud of her. It is so incredible to see the number of people out there who have been affected in so many ways by incomprehensibly horrible events in their lives, and they meet and they seek comfort and support. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. The government's not doing it. In fact, the government's facilitating the predation, but that's a different story. All right, dear friends, thank you. Had a wonderful day. Did a lot of stuff today, a lot of talk. So remember, think for yourself and research. All right, kids, see you today at 7. Don't forget. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya.